A University of Michigan poll finds most American parents are tracking their adult children's location on their phone, and a quarter of those parents say it causes more anxiety than relief. A medical University of Vienna study shows that people who appreciate dark humor have measurably higher intelligence and lower aggression, and the Dog Aging Project just confirmed that the same biological signals that predict how long a human will live are doing the same job in dogs. While everyone was busy arguing about politics, a bunch of other things happened. I'm Keith Conrad, and this is News SideQuest. A new poll from the University of Michigan's National Poll on Healthy Aging, one of the most respected ongoing surveys of American health behavior, asked parents of 18 to 25-year-olds about their use of location tracking technology, and the results are striking enough that NPR ran it as their lead health story. The headline finding most parents are doing it. The poll found parental tracking is more common with 18 to 20-year-olds compared to adults in their mid-20s, which makes some intuitive sense because the 18 to 20-year-old window often overlaps with a first year away from home at college. Most parents cited peace of mind and their child's safety as the main reason to track. But here's the finding that lands a little differently for me, at least. About 25% of parents who track their adult children say the ability to monitor their location sometimes causes more anxiety than reassurance. 1 in 4 parents tracking their kids are getting more worried, not less. They see their child's location, something doesn't add up with what they expected, and now they have a specific thing to be anxious about, rather than just the general background worry. The psychologist NPR spoke to put the line pretty clearly. Quote, tracking your young adult's location and then using it as a way to micromanage their life. Hey, why aren't you in class? I thought you had work at 9. Didn't you have this appointment? Weren't you going to exercise today? That's a signal that that's a parent who's having difficulty making the transition from parenting a child to parenting a young adult. It can be tough to let go, and technology makes it easier to not let go, end quote. This is a new dynamic compared to when I was growing up back in the Stone Age. Technology didn't exist, but the underlying tension between parental concern and young adult autonomy is not new at all. What's new is that the concern can now be satisfied continuously in real time, without any conversation having to happen. That changes the dynamic in ways that researchers are only beginning to understand. If you're a parent, do you track your adult kids, and has it made you feel better or more anxious? And if you're in that 18 to 25-year-old range, or were recently, do you know your parents tracked you, and how do you feel about that?
No offense, Homer, but your half-assed underparenting was a lot more fun than your half-assed overparenting.
But I'm using my whole ass.
Anyone paying attention to this show can imagine how excited I am about this development. A study conducted at the Medical University of Vienna tested 156 adults with mixed educational backgrounds on intelligence, aggression, mood, and their appreciation of dark humor. The researchers used cartoons from German artist Uli Stein's The Black Book. It's bleak, morbid, gallows-style jokes involving death, disease, and similarly cheerful subject matter. Participants fell into 3 distinct groups. The first one, with moderate appreciation for dark humor, showed average intelligence and moderate aggression. The second, who liked the jokes least, had average intelligence and the highest aggression levels of the 3 groups. The third group, who appreciated the dark humor most, had the highest intelligence scores of all 3 groups and the lowest levels of aggression and negative mood. The conclusion: people who don't appreciate a good dark joke might literally just not get it. Comprehending dark humor requires processing a kind of cognitive dissonance, holding 2 incompatible ideas simultaneously: the tragic reality and the absurdist joke about it. And that kind of complex information processing correlates with higher intelligence. As the researchers put it, Quote, black humor processing is seemingly a complex information processing task that depends on cognitive and emotional aspects, end quote. The connection to Freud is worth mentioning because Freud actually had a theory about this, because of course he did. In his 1905 book on jokes and the unconscious, he proposed that humor allows for a temporarily safe release of repressed anxiety. Dark humor specifically allows you to confront mortality, catastrophe, human suffering from a psychological distance, and if you're stable enough not to be threatened by that confrontation, you can find it funny. The inability to find dark humor funny isn't moral superiority, it might be the opposite, an inability to process uncomfortable truths at a safe distance. I want to say one more thing about what this research is not saying. It's not saying that all dark humor is fine and there are no limits. There's dark humor that finds absurdity in difficult human situations, and then there's cruelty that uses the format of humor to punch at people who are already suffering. Those are completely different things. The research is about the former, not the latter. So what's your favorite example of dark humor done right? The joke that made you feel slightly guilty for laughing and then immediately laugh again.
It's a joke. When you give me that look, it's a joke.
The Dog Aging Project, which is apparently a thing, a long-term community science study following more than 50,000 companion dogs, just published findings in the Journal of Gerontology that I want to spend some time on because they connect several threads we've actually been following for a while now. Researchers analyzed blood samples from dogs enrolled in the project, looking specifically at metabolites, small chemicals and molecules produced during normal bodily processes, and whether patterns of these metabolites predicted whether a dog died sooner or later. The striking finding, the same metabolic biomarkers that predict all-cause mortality in humans also predict all-cause mortality in dogs, with a strong and statistically significant correlation across 24 separate human cohort studies. The chief veterinary officer for the Dog Aging Project put it plainly, quote, the molecules that are risky for dogs or protective against a sooner death are very similar to those in people, showing that we share important features of aging biology, which is really interesting and rewarding, end quote. Maybe this is why we get along so well. Dogs aren't just companion animals in some sentimental sense. They're aging alongside us in ways that are biologically parallel. The same processes that determine how long you live are determining how long your doggo lives. The practical implication is significant because dogs live shorter lives than humans, compressing a full aging trajectory into 10 to 15 years rather than 70 to 80. Studying them allows researchers to observe the full arc of aging and mortality much faster than they could in human populations. The Dog Aging Project is essentially using companion dogs as a translational research model that will help scientists identify mechanisms of aging that apply to both species. This connects directly to the rapamycin drug trial we covered back last month. The same project, the same researchers using what they're learning about dog aging to develop an intervention that might extend both canine and human lifespans. They're not just your dog, they're apparently also a research collaborator. Who knew? What's the most human thing your dog does, the specific behavior that makes you think they actually understand something about what's going on?
Who saw Old Yeller? Who cried when Old Yeller got shot at the end? Nobody cried when Old Yeller got shot, I'm sure. I cried my eyes out.
Episode 9 of the Titanic series on SideQuest covers the rescue. The Carpathia raced through the night to reach survivors, and the Californian, the ship that was close enough to help but didn't respond. If any episode in this series is going to make you genuinely angry, it's probably this one. Free condensed version for everyone, extended cut for paid subscribers. Find SideQuest wherever you get your podcasts or visit newsidequest.com.
I'll never let go. I promise.
A real estate agent in Arkansas discovered a house listed for sale was completely overrun with black rat snakes in the walls, the attic, the basement, essentially every accessible space. The listing has since been updated. The only sensible solution here is to burn the house down and just start over somewhere else.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Medieval English landlords apparently accepted eels as rent payment, with a new historical analysis mapping where eel rents were common across England between the 11th and 14th centuries. Thousands of eels could fulfill an annual rent obligation. And yet, if I tried to pay rent in eels, Misty and I would be evicted. The medieval economy had certain flexibilities, ours does not.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
An alleged scammer attempting to steal $700,000 in gold received chocolate coins instead, after the intended victim worked with law enforcement to substitute real gold with foil-wrapped candy. The scammer was subsequently arrested. Yeah, at least they had something nice to snack on for a while before they were arrested. Chocolate coins do not appreciate in value.
Oh, okay, that helps. Really? No.
A lemonade stand in Boston was robbed at gunpoint by a teenager. The children were unharmed. The combination of terrible character and poor financial planning required to rob a lemonade stand at gunpoint is genuinely remarkable. The amount of money available at a lemonade stand is not a secret. The teenager has obviously been charged.
You filthy criminals.
That's it for new side quests. 3 questions out there for your consideration. Whether you track your adult kids or were tracked yourself and how that felt, your best example of dark humor done right, and the most human thing your dog does. Email me at newsidequest@gmail.com or hit me up in the Substack comments. See you tomorrow.